It is UFC Noche Week, Mexican Independence Day, this Saturday from the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas. We have a main event between Diego Lopes and John Silva, where the winner, well, John Silva might be fighting for a title shot with a victory. We don't know. There's Leron Murphy, there's Aljamain Sterling, and obviously there's the champion Alexander Volkanovski. We can assume that one of those three guys are going to end up fighting Volkanovski. The other two who don't get the title shot are probably going to fight each other. Again, we will see. We'll get to that at the end of the video. But we've got 14 fights on this card, again, from San Antonio, Texas. I like how the UFC has not limited the Noche card this year. Last year was in the Sphere, and they only did 10 fights. It's 14 this time around. On top of that, this fight card starts at noon. Because the night spot has to go to boxing. I get it. Canelo, Crawford, I think it's a pretty big deal. I think Crawford's going to win. I don't know much about boxing. But, yeah, this card's in the middle of the day in the States. Great. Anyways, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more UFC content here in the channel. We're going to have our best bets later in the week as well for this UFC Noche card, as well as our Contender Series predictions. Those will be out tomorrow here on Greedo Plays MMA, so make sure to go check that video out as we get on to the first of our 14 fights. We start things off with the Ultimate Fighter Championship bout. Yes, Rodrigo Cenzado takes on Daniil Donchenko, where the winner will be crowned the welterweight champion of the Ultimate Fighter season 30-something. I don't know, I lost track. This fight was originally supposed to take place back in August on UFC 319 in Chicago. I think it was Rodrigo who couldn't make the date. Something happened, someone got pulled, so they just moved it to Noche, and they're going to put it as the very first fight on this card. I have a weird feeling, I think I know why. Because guys, Dana always shows up and he always presents the winner of the Ultimate Fighter with the trophy. It's congratulations, you've won the Ultimate Fighter trophy. He's got, used to be Brittany Palmer standing next to him. I don't know what it's going to be. Let's just say, Luciana Andrade, is that her name? I don't know. It's Andrade is her last name. I don't know. Brooklyn Wren will be standing next to him and he'll say, he'll take the award. Oh, here's your Ultimate Fighter Championship. And it used to be, your 6-figure contract. Here's your 12K to win, 12K to show contract. Congratulations, kid. Well, the guy's 35 years old. Anyways, so Dana will probably be there for this. I guarantee you this is why it's the first fight of the night, because Dana's getting on a plane going straight to Vegas right after this fight ends. He is not staying for this entire card. What happened to the love letter to Mexican mixed martial arts, huh? I guess the love letter to Mexico this week is with Canelo Alvarez, isn't it? Anyways, the UFC's in second place this week because it's Zuffa boxing time, TKO boxing time. Anyways, Rodrigo versus Daniil Donchenko to start off the night. I'm going to go Daniil Donchenko here. Now, I've watched some of the Ultimate Fighter. I haven't watched all of it, but I did watch Rodrigo and Daniil's last couple fights, or only fights in the contenders on the Ultimate Fighter. And I don't see how Daniil doesn't win this fight. They kind of do the same thing from what I've gotten out of this. Daniil, really good wrestler, heavy top pressure. He's not content on just staying on top. Like, he is going to throw once he gets on top. I've watched his fights more so on Natsia FC. I think that's how you pronounce that. And it's just a dominant wrestling pace, dragging guys down, and hammer fists, elbows once he's down or once he gets his opponent down to the mat. For Rodrigo, again, kind of a guy who does the same exact thing. He is a grappler who's looking to finish fights on the mat. I would say maybe his striking is a little bit better. Came into the Ultimate Fighter coming off a huge knockout victory. But to me, this fight just goes down whoever you think can implement their game better. Now, on the other Ultimate Fighter fight that we saw in the Championship Ultimate Fighter finale fight at UFC 319, Joseph Morales picked up a huge upset victory over Adli Idris, who ended up getting a contract anyway, I believe. But anyways, we saw a plus 500 underdog win the first Ultimate Fighter finale fight of the season. I think Daniil Donchenko is going to win, though. Everything to me points to Donchenko winning. Everything that Rodrigo wants to do, I believe Daniil is going to do just better. I think he's a stronger guy. I think he's a more physical guy. And again, I like the game better out of him. He is much younger than Rodrigo. Daniil's 24 years old. Daniil's 24. Rodrigo doesn't have an age listed, but this guy doesn't look like he's 24 to me. Well, that picture I have on the screen right now is actually pretty old. He doesn't look like a 24-year-old. Another thing, though, I watched Rodrigo's last fight in the Ultimate Fighter. He wins, but my goodness, is it not like decisive? He wins a split decision. It's Team DC versus Team DC to go to the finals. And all Rodrigo does is just wrestle. He wrestles, he Doesn't really do much damage, but it's just a control-based victory that he gets. Barely gets the win, though. Doesn't do much damage with it. I don't know. I wasn't impressed. And I've watched Daniil and what he's been able to do. I like him a lot more than Rodrigo. He is a favorite in this fight, I do believe. Well, there are no odds yet, which is odd. But on Tapology, at least, 76% of voters are going with the Ukrainian in Daniil. 24% of voters are going with the Brazilian in Rodrigo Sezinando. I'm going to go with Daniil Donchenko to become the Ultimate Fighter finale winner. I think he's going to get it done in the second round by TKO. I think, again, just that wrestling-heavy approach with the ground and pound should be enough for Daniil to win the fight. Give me Donchenko to become the welterweight Ultimate Fighter champion. He'll win the fight by second round TKO. All right, going on to our next fight. Not gonna lie, I have to redo this. Okay, I thought Elise Pereira was Alex Pereira's sister. Okay, that is Eileen Pereira, who fights in Glory. All right, something was up. I'm not gonna lie, because she's 19. Okay, here's something, man. Why is she in the UFC? See, I just assumed, and this is my fault, I just assumed she was in the UFC because she was Alex Pereira's sister. She's 5-0. She's a Brazilian kickboxer. No, there's actually no relation. That was 100% my bad. So yeah, this is actually a re-upload now because I had to go fix this. Whoops. Anyways, I don't get the signing now. I don't get it. So everything remains that I said earlier. If you watched the video I put up earlier today, she's got good striking skills. Yeah, she's got some jiu-jitsu. She's a pretty all-around good striker. Seriously, good striker. Still think she can beat Montserrat Rendon. So nothing that I said earlier changes about the prediction. Now I just don't understand why she's in the UFC. I don't understand it at all. So yeah, I thought it was Eileen Pereira. I'm not gonna lie, because I knew Pereira had a Glory kickboxing sister, but I knew something was up, and I just didn't catch it. I thought, someone was up. She's 19. That's what doesn't make sense, and now it does make sense. So I don't get why they didn't have her fight in the Contender Series. I don't know how she immediately gets a shot in the UFC. I still think she's a better striker than Montserrat Rendon, right? I mean, this fight's going to be won and lost with the wrestling that Montserrat Rendon's potentially able to do. But again, with Montserrat Rendon, this is a very mid-level fighter in the UFC. No, I can say low-level fighter in the UFC. Rendon is 6-1 professionally, 1-1 in the UFC, with her only fight in the UFC being a loss to Daria Zelznikova. Her loss is to Daria, and her win is Tamara Vidal by split decision. You can easily make the case that Montserrat Rendon should have lost the Tamara Vidal fight because she is just a nothing fighter on the feet, primarily a wrestler. I think as long as Elise Pereira is able to keep the fight standing, she will definitely win if she's able to just go out here and implement her game kickboxing-wise. Yeah, this should be an easy decision victory. Yeah, I don't know where I saw that she was Alex Pereira's sister. I don't know. I'm sure I saw that on Twitter, and that's bad on my end. Eileen Pereira is the sister of Alex Pereira. She is not in the UFC. She is, I guess, still in Glory. I don't know. But again, I still believe Pereira is going to win this one. The kickboxing out of her does make me think like does make me think she's going to win. Still very good kickboxing for a 19-year-old making her UFC debut, right? Again, I just don't understand the signing, honestly. I don't get why this is a thing, especially because she's 19 years of age, making her debut on a Noche card in front of a full crowded fight night card. That one doesn't make the most sense to me. But Montserrat Rendon is as low level as you can get in the UFC. Legitimately. As low level as you can get. 6-1. Was supposed to fight Melissa Mullins late in 2024. Fight never happened. I'm going to go with Elise Pereira to win the fight. Yeah, I totally butchered this one. I'm not going to lie. Not going to hide from that mistake. That was really bad. But here we are. So I'm going to go Elise Pereira to go out here, out kickbox Montserrat Rendon, stuff the takedowns, keep the fight standing. That should give her the all-around victory, I do believe. We're going to go Elise Pereira to beat Montserrat Rendon by decision. Not related to Alex Pereira. I'll definitely remember that one now. But yeah, give me Elise Pereira. 5-0 on the regional scene. Should carry that into her first victory in the UFC. By the way, she's huge for bantamweight. 5'10", 135-pounder. Montserrat Rendon's 5'8". Way bigger fighter. I'm going to go with Elise Pereira to use her range, use her size. She will be able to win the fight by decision. Next up, we move to a matchup in the flyweight division as we have got Alessandro Costa fighting Alden Coria in Coria's first ever UFC fight. I usually keep track of how the Mexican fighters do on these cards, but I guess we can. But Montserrat Rendon, okay, first Mexican fighter on the card, 0-1. But the thing is, on some of these fights in this card, they just use American Mexican fighters as the Mexican fighter on the card. So in this fight, Alden Coria is the Coria, excuse me, not Korea. Coria is the, Mexican representative, I do believe, in this fight for the UFC, just because they always have to have someone. But I don't know there's no Mexican representative for Zachary Rodriguez Dumas, unless I'm missing something, right? Anyways, I guess we'll say the Mexican fighters are 0-1 so far on this card. I'm not going to count Rodrigo, obviously, from Brazil, okay? So, Rendon loses the first fight. All right. Alessandro Costa takes on Alden Coria. Okay, I don't know what's up with Alden Coria. I have looked, I have dug pretty deep, and I cannot find why Alden Coria's fight against Paris Moran was overturned. I have no idea why it was. So, Fury 100, it's a main card fight. Paris Moran was supposed to get signed by the UFC. Apparently, UFC brass was backstage at Fury, and they were going to give Paris Moran the contract as long as he were to beat Alden Coria. And, Paris Moran was a minus 700 favorite in that fight. He was going to win. Alden Coria drops Paris Moran, basically flatlines him, and then finishes him on the ground. So Coria wins the bout by, I think it was first round TKO. He wins the Fury UFC championship. Okay, great. I don't know why that fight got overturned to a no contest, but it did. He fights 4 months later in Fury, wins against a 4-7-1 opponent, and now he's in the UFC. Why did that fight get overturned? I legitimately, I don't know. I've looked. I can't find anything. It doesn't make sense to me. And how do you go from fighting for the belt, winning the belt, going on a local Fox channel and doing an interview with the belt, with your manager sitting right next to you, and you're not the champion anymore, and you're fighting a 4-7-1 guy, and then now you're in the UFC? It doesn't make sense to me. So I thought, okay, steroids, PEDs is probably it, but he fought 4 months later. So I don't understand why they stripped him of the belt and why it's a no contest now, because I cannot find an explanation anywhere. Anyways, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. You don't care about the Fury UFC belt now that you're in the UFC, but that's odd. Alden Coria is fighting Alessandro Costa. Alessandro Costa, 2-2 in the UFC, losses to Amir Albazi and Steve Ursig, but wins over Jimmy Flick and Kevin Borjas. Again, a tale of two sides here. He lost to Amir Albazi, who's in the top 5, and Steve Ursig, who's in the top 10, even though Ursig should have lost to Ode Osborne. That's going to be my new Bobby Green, Rafael Fiziev. Okay, Ursig lost to Ode, and nobody's telling me otherwise. Costa's victories, though. Good win over Jimmy Flick, knocks him out. And he knocks out Kevin Borjas as well, back in Brazil last May. So he's been off for quite a bit. Now he gets Alden Coria. By the way, Costa was supposed to fight Matt Schnell, supposed to fight Edgar Chairez. Neither of those fights happened. Well, the Chairez fight actually was supposed to be on this card, but Chairez pulls out, and here comes Coria on short notice. Again, I don't know what the deal is with Alden Coria. Why did that fight get overturned? I don't think it's steroids, because why would he be fighting in May, and why is he fighting now, and why would the UFC sign him if it was steroids? But it doesn't make sense to me. Legitimately, it's one that I don't get at all, but here we are. I think Alessandro Costa actually will probably easily beat Alden Coria. Okay? Alden Coria is a plus 300 underdog for good reason. Costa's at minus 400. So, for one, Coria's taking the fight on short notice. He, just fought. Well, I guess May's actually, that's been 3 months at this point. But just took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, wasn't preparing for anything, and now he's got to fight in the UFC, and against a pretty good flyweight at that. And Costa's only lost to Amir Albazi and Steve Ursig. The main thing, though, I want to bring up here is he looked good in the Paris Moran knockout's great. How much of that, though, is that he just got lucky and cracked Moran? It's still a fist fight, and everyone has a puncher's chance for the most part. Now, Moran just lost his last fight to a 13-11 Jacob Silva, so I think the Paris Moran run's probably over, right? I think. I remember him being hyped up in Fury for a very long time, and Alden Coria really changed that. But anyways, I think that some of the Moran victory is just luck, let's be honest, okay? Because his resume prior to that was not great. Beat a 4-7-1 guy in his last fight, lost to Albert Trujillo back in 2024. Trujillo is now 9-6 professionally, and lost 3 straight fights, including a loss to Luis Gurule after beating Coria. I think Costa should easily take this fight. I think so, okay? I think Costa's a better striker than Coria, and I really don't see this fight hitting the mat. If it does, I like Costa down there as well. But I think, again, Coria is more of a, here's a comp, more of a Younessi Duben. She got, when Duben got lucky in the Contender Series, won her contract that way. Coria got kind of lucky, knocked out Moran. I don't think he's the most skillful fighter. I think Costa's an all-around better fighter. I know he's way shorter than Coria. Costa's 5'4", Coria's 5'8", but Coria's going to have to cut the weight now on short notice. I just don't like it. Give me Alexandre Costa to win the bout. I think he'll take it by decision. I think he's just going to outclass Coria here. Will he get a finish? Because he has finished both of his wins so far. I'm going to go decision here. Both of his finishes are on the ground after a knockdown. I think it's going to go the distance. I'm going to go Alessandro Costa to beat Alden Coria here on Noche by unanimous decision. We move on now to our next fight in the middleweight division. Don't know where the Mexican representative is here. No idea. But we got Zach Reese versus Cedricus Dumas. So we'll just say again, Mexico's 0-1. I think Coria is Mexican. I think. I don't know. We'll just say Montserrat Rendon in Mexico is 0-1 right now, okay? Zach Reese versus Cedricus Dumas in the middleweight division. So this fight was booked quite a while ago. Things have changed since their initial booking, because that was back in January of this year on UFC 311 in Inglewood, in Inglewood at the Clippers Arena, at Intuit, thank you. Zach Reese is supposed to fight Cedricus Dumas. Dumas can't make the date, so Reese instead fights Azamat Bekoyev. Bekoyev finishes him in the first round. Reese fights since he beats Dusko Todorovic in late May, who's also on this card and higher up on the card at that, but we'll get to that later. While Cedricus Dumas gets to fight Michal Zolszejczak. How did he get that fight? I don't know. How is he only a plus 155 underdog in that fight? I don't know. Supposed to fight Jackson McVee just a couple months ago. Couldn't get his ankle monitor off. And now here he is against Zach Reese in a rebooking. So both guys, again, have fought since their initial booking. Dumas has lost, and Reese has won and lost. Okay. I think this is going to spell the end of Cedricus Dumas in the UFC. No, he's 3-3. He'll get another fight. It's just, I don't think Dumas is that good. You look at Dumas' victories, they're all the lowest level guys possible, except, well, no, Cody Brundage is pretty low level. So it's Dennis Tululin, Abu Ozaitar, and Cody Brundage. His losses are Josh Fremd, Nilson Ruzvayev, where in all fairness to Dumas, got poked in the eye a million times, and he lost the fight due to the eye poke. That was the classic Atlantic City, New Jersey eye poke card with Ruzvayev and then Chris Weidman right after. Hilarious night of fights. And then his loss to Michal Zolszejczak, well, Zolszejczak drops him in the first round and knocks him out. I actually think Zach Reese isn't that bad, honestly. I mean, Zachary Reese has been okay so far in the UFC. 3-2 losses to, I know Cody Brundage, but he got slammed. That was a weird fight. Huge favorite, got slammed, knocked out. Okay, that's back in 2023. Since then, Reese went on to knock out Julian Marquez in Kentucky in 20 seconds. Beats Jose Medina by decision. We'll get to Medina later. Lose to Azamat Bekoyev, but I think Bekoyev's pretty solid. And then beats Dusko Todorovic. Now, Todorovic and Medina are fighting each other on this card, and they get a higher placement on the card than Reese, who beat both of them. But it's okay. Bekoyev's solid, right? Bekoyev is 2-0 in the UFC, wins over Ryan Loder and Zach Reese. That's not a bad loss at all if I'm Reese. I think Reese should be able to beat Cedricus Dumas. I firmly expect him to. I think the takedown's going to be there. I think it is. We've seen Dumas struggle a little bit with pretty good wrestlers, like Josh Fremd, is a big example of that. Fremd really just, put it on Dumas in the wrestling, made Dumas carry his weight, and eventually subbed him with the guillotine. We saw Dennis Tululin, right, see some success wrestling Dumas. Dumas was able to reverse that positioning and get takedowns of his own. But, I mean, you shouldn't be in 3-round, somewhat competitive fights with Dennis Tululin, okay? Dennis Tululin was one of the worst UFC fighters on the roster, okay? There's a reason he got cut from the promotion after being 11-10 professionally, right? In all fairness to Dumas, he's fought difficult guys. I think Reese, though, if he wants the takedown, should have it. Striking-wise, I think the striking should be there. Guys, Cedricus Dumas, to me, hasn't looked all that impressive since he fought an Icon. Like, I knew who Cedricus Dumas was because he was the big Icon FC guy that they were pumping up at the time when Masvidal bought it and made it his own promotion. And he was winning, with knockouts left and right. We haven't seen that explosiveness out of Dumas since. We haven't seen that dynamic striking that we saw on Icon. He just hasn't been the same guy, I don't think. I know there definitely is some outside the octagon issues as well with Cedricus Dumas, so I can't rely on him to win this fight. I'm going to go Zach Reese to beat Cedricus Dumas, and I think he's going to get it done probably by TKO. I think eventually he will find a finish here. I'm going to go second round TKO for Zach Reese. I don't know if it's on the feet or on the ground. I think both pathways are open for Reese in this one. I just feel like, again, Zach Reese is an all-around better mixed martial artist than Cedricus Dumas, and I think he's more dedicated to the sport than Cedricus Dumas is. I'm going to go Zach Reese to finish Dumas in the second round by TKO. We move on now to our fifth fight of the night. We go to a matchup in the flyweight division. Mexico's Jesus Aguilar takes on Luis Gurule. Don't know why Luis Gurule is a favorite here. Maybe I got wrong odds. I'm going to check right now just to make sure. But I have, and I'm pretty sure this is it, Luis Gurule at around minus 215 and Jesus Aguilar back at you at plus 165. Yep, those are the odds. I did not screw those up. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I get it. Has Jesus Aguilar been the most impressive UFC fighter? No. He's coming off of a loss to Rafael Estevam, where Estevam took him down at will and held him down the entire fight. But Luis Gurule just lost to Ode Osborne. I like Ode. Shout out to Picasso. But Picasso flatlines Luis Gurule and knocks him out in the second round. And Luis Gurule struggles against really good wrestlers. Jesus Aguilar struggles against really good wrestlers. So we're just going to see a striking fight. Great. That makes Jesus Aguilar better, in my opinion. I know he stubbed Stuart Nickel. I get that. Back in Australia in August of 2024. But I think a striking fight for both guys is really going to help them out. I'm taking Jesus Aguilar in a striking fight over Luis Gurule. I am. Guys, I just saw Luis Gurule get knocked out by Ode Osborne. Again, I like Ode. Ode should have gotten the win over Steve Urseg. But I don't think Gurule's that high level. I don't think he is. Oh, he went undefeated in Fury. He was 10-0 coming to the UFC. Won in the Contender Series over Nick Piccinini. That's how you say his name. Beat him by split decision. He got out-wrestled the entire fight, but was able to do more damage in the feet. And sure, I don't mind the decision, right? Damage-based scoring is how we should score things. But my goodness, you get outstruck by Ode Osborne in the first round. You're a minus like 400 favorite. You get outstruck in the first round by Ode. You have to wrestle, but Ode's doing more damage in the limited first round than it is, right? It's a lot of wrestling in the first. Second round, Ode's tagging you, and Ode eventually knocks you out. If Gurule wrestles Aguilar, I'm not too concerned. Like, I think Aguilar, this is what he does once he gets taken down. He does just fish for submissions. It's more of, again, I'm going to look for a submission once I'm down rather than I'm trying to get back up. And that's what happened in the Stuart Nickel fight in Australia, right? Aguilar catches him in a sub. I think he's going to out-kickbox Luis Gurule here. I think he's going to. Guys, Luis Gurule is so unproven for me. He is. He beats Alberto Trujillo, again, a guy that we talked about earlier on Fury. Never won the Fury Championship, beat Jacob Silva before getting on the Contender Series. Jacob Silva, a guy who ended up beating Paris Moran in his last fight. I believe that was for the Flyweight Championship. Crazy over there in Fury UFC. I don't know what's going on. Not impressed with Luis Gurule, though. I'm not. If he has to wrestle Aguilar, sure. I don't think Aguilar's jiu-jitsu is that bad, and I think he might be able to find something off of his back. I'm just really surprised at the odds. Truth be told, I don't get why Aguilar is a plus 165 underdog here. This fight should be even for me. Aguilar in the UFC so far, 3-2. Victories over Shannon Ross, Mateus Mendoza, and Stuart Nickel. Losses to Tetsuro Taira and Rafael Estevam. Sure, what do those two guys have in common? They're going to wrestle you. I get that. I think there's going to be some hesitancy from Luis Gurule. He has never lost before. He's coming off a loss now where he didn't just lose, got knocked out. Aguilar's got some decent boxing coming back at you as well. I think it's a tough fight, man. Aguilar's been in the UFC. This is his 6th fight. Gurule, right, coming off an L for the very first time. I'm going to go with Jesus Aguilar, fighting out of Baja California, Mexico. I think he's going to be able to win this one. And I think he's going to send Mexico now to 1-1 on this card. He is a dog, but I don't really care. I think Aguilar is able to remain very competitive on the feet. And if it's the mat, I don't mind the defensive grappling game out of Jesus Aguilar. Again, Gurule just doesn't wow me at all. I get it. He's a Factory X guy in Colorado. Good gas tank, sure. Just, I don't know. I didn't like what I saw in the Ode fight. And I thought, again, the Contender Series fight, I thought he looked good. And I didn't think he was great. I don't know. I've just never been sold on the guy. I thought he was going to beat Ode initially, but I'm going to go Jesus Aguilar here. I think Aguilar's a more developed fighter. He's been in the UFC. This is going to be fight number 6 compared to Gurule's 2nd. And again, Gurule's coming off a loss. So give me the Mexican, Jesus Aguilar, to beat Luis Gurule by unanimous decision. We move on now to the flyweight division, or strawweight division, excuse me. Are we counting Tatiana Suarez as a Mexican? I don't think so, right? No. I mean, I know she's American, but I know she's Mexican. Anyways, we're just going to say, again, we're only going to count the Mexican fighters if you have the Mexican flag, okay? Aguilar's got the Mexican flag, or Rendon's got the Mexican flag. And I guess we'll count Diego Lopez, too, because he trains in Mexico. Anyways, I know he gets the Brazilian flag. Anyways, Tatiana Suarez takes on Amanda Lemos. Okay, I'm not going to, try to hype up this prediction and make you wait. I think Tatiana Suarez absolutely mops the floor with Amanda Lemos. I don't think it's close. Tatiana Suarez will sub Amanda Lemos in the first round. Okay, and that's honestly what Tatiana Suarez needs to do. It's kind of disrespectful she's this low on the card. I understand her last fight was not good, and it was for the World Championship where she was favored to beat Zhang Weili. I picked her. A lot of people picked her. I was 100% on the bandwagon. Tatiana was going to win the belt, and I still believe Tatiana is going to win the belt, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute here, and that's what I'm going to spend most of this time with this prediction about, because the result for this fight doesn't concern me at all. It doesn't. Tatiana Suarez will destroy Amanda Lemos. She just will. Guys, look at all the success Vina Jandiroba had against Amanda Lemos, and look at all the success Zhang Weili had against Amanda Lemos. They took her down, they dominated her. Okay, if I'm Tatiana Suarez, I'm looking to go out here and I'm looking to sub Lemos in the first round. Because regardless of who wins Mackenzie Dern or Vina Jandiroba for the World Championship, yes, it's a World Championship fight in 2025. I can't believe it. One of those two are going to win the belt. Tatiana Suarez needs to look impressive, and she needs to essentially beat Lemos better than Jandiroba did. Took Jandiroba 2 rounds. But if we've seen anything out of Amanda Lemos is she can't grapple, and she can't wrestle. She actually did beat Mackenzie Dern, which is crazy. But look at the Jandiroba fight, look at the Zhang Weili fight. When she fights elite wrestlers and really good jiu-jitsu players, well, jiu-jitsu players who can wrestle and good grapplers, so that disqualifies Mackenzie Dern because she can't wrestle, she loses. Yasmin Lucindo, yeah, Lemos beat in one of the worst fights you're ever going to watch. It was horrible. And Lemos actually got top positioning on Lucindo. Lucindo couldn't really implement the game plan, and Lemos said, you know what? I'm going to pull the Uno reverse card. I'm going to be the boring wrestler this time, right? Well, actually, Zhang Weili wasn't boring, and Vina Jandiroba wasn't boring when she beat her, when they both beat Lemos. Lemos said, you know what? I'm not going to try to get a finish. I'm just going to be boring and lay on top of you for 15 minutes. They put that on a main card of an Alex Pereira main pay-per-view card. It's horrible. Anyways, Amanda Lemos can't grapple with good fighters, okay? Like, if Mackenzie Dern had consistently gotten Lemos down, Lemos would have been in trouble, right? Lemos wins it, right? Because she's able to stuff those takedowns, and Dern's grappling sucks. But I think Tatiana makes this look really easy. She makes this look easy as hell. She's going to take Lemos down. She'll sub her in the first round. You remember what Tatiana Suarez did to Jessica Andrade in Nashville? Yeah, she's going to do it even faster to Amanda Lemos. I'm telling you, 0 grappling, 0 wrestling. So here's Tatiana Suarez now, who's 34 years of age. She probably should be fighting Vina Jandiroba for the belt. I didn't know beating Amanda Ribas in 2025 gets you a world championship opportunity, but apparently it does. If Mackenzie Dern wasn't Mackenzie Dern, she would not be getting a world title fight, okay? She did not beat Lupi Godinez. She lost that fight, and then she beat Amanda Ribas. Oh, great. Awesome. In a Apex main event that nobody remembers, okay? She's 2-2 in her last 4 fights, and she's getting a world title fight. Anyways, I actually think Dern might win that fight. We've seen Dern Jandiroba before, and both fighters said, all right, well, I don't want to grapple, so we're just going to strike. And here's the thing, guys. That's actually where I think Mackenzie Dern might beat Vina Jandiroba. I don't think Jandiroba wants to take the fight down, because Dern is very dangerous off her back. Now, if Tatiana fought Dern, I think it's different, because Tatiana's got top pressure, and she's got top wrestling pressure. Vina Jandiroba is going to have top jiu-jitsu pressure. It's just different, but Suarez is looking to punch, for the most part, when she's on top. Right? I think she'll submit Lemos because Lemos is going to give up her back, but that's neither here nor there. Against Dern, I think she's just going to punch. I think she's able to pass into full mount and whatnot. I think she'll be really successful. Jandiroba, I don't know if she's going to be able to do the same thing because Jandiroba is just going to look for subs, and that's where Dern can catch you. So I think Jandiroba is just going to strike with Mackenzie Dern. So we're going to see a 25-minute striking bout between Mackenzie Dern and Vina Jandiroba for the World Championship. And Jandiroba's like 37 fighting for the title for the first time. This could have been so simple. Zhang Weili should have just fought one more fight down there, beat Jandiroba, and then I don't care what happens to 15, right? Could have just done Suarez and Dern, I guess. I don't know. Natalia Silva's getting screwed. Natalia Silva legitimately is the best 125er in the world. I guess you'll just have to wait for Zhang Weili, because Zhang Weili is probably going to beat Shevchenko, right? The top 3 fighters right now out of active 125-pounders in the women's weight classes right now in mixed martial arts goes number 1, Natalia Silva, number 2, Dakota Ditcheva, number 3, Valentina Shevchenko. Okay? I'm just saying. 4, I don't know, Jasmine Jasdavidius. I think she'll beat Fior. Whatever. Aaron Blanchfield. Who cares? Give me Tatiana Suarez to beat Amanda Lemos. She'll make this look easy. Lemos has got no grappling, and Suarez will punch her ticket to the next title shot, okay? Because that's where she should be. She should have beat Zhang Weili in terms of her, she just couldn't wrestle late in the fight. Basically, she was done after the first round. And Zhang Weili is really good. Amanda Lemos is not Zhang Weili. Suarez will be fine, and she will win the title in her next fight. I firmly believe that. Tatiana Suarez, first round submission. Next up, let's move on to a matchup here in the lightweight division. Claudio Puelles is back. Yes, Claudio is back to take on Joaquim Silva. 36-year-old Joaquim Silva is back, taking on, again, Claudio Puelles, who has been really horrible in his last couple of fights. No, I gotta be fair, the Ferreira fight wasn't bad. The Ferreira fight, Puelles loses by split decision. It's not that horrible to the point where Puelles wasn't doing the whole, the butt scooch thing. Now, Puelles made a fool out of himself in the Dan Hooker fight, and I'm glad he did because, these non-warrior, jiu-jitsu guys who I can respect a lot of jiu-jitsu fighters. I don't respect guys like Claudio Puelles who will scoot on their ass and try to trip you and, I want to get in my guard. Like, that's not fighting, guys. I respect good jiu-jitsu. I respect catching a guy in a triangle like Brian Ortega. I don't respect what Claudio Puelles does in some fights, okay? So I won't be biased on this pick. I'm just saying that's the type of stuff that pisses me off sometimes with mixed martial arts. Like Ryan Hall, okay? Like, yeah, it's cool. Oh, he's gonna be Urinari. He's going to pull for one. It's just, when you're rolling around the octagon, it just pisses me off. Just like the Ryan Hall disciple on the Contender Series a couple weeks ago that we predicted to lose, and that exactly happened to him. Anyways, Claudio Puelles, the Prince of Peru, takes on Joaquim Silva. So Puelles is back after, again, that embarrassment fighting against Dan Hooker where he just couldn't get back up, said, no mas, I'm done. And then he fought Ferreira in his last fight. Well, Puelles does no damage, legitimately no damage. He lands 4 significant strikes in the fight. Somehow a judge scores it for Puelles. I don't know how you do. How do you win a fight without doing damage? I'll wait. Exactly, you don't. So Puelles gets one of the scorecards. I don't know. Ziam wins it by split decision. Who cares? Joaquim Silva, though, is 36. And his last win is Clay Guida, who was like 40-something. And then Jesse Ronson before that. Great. Joaquim Silva struggles against wrestlers. Like, Clay Guida was taking down Joaquim Silva. Now Joaquim Silva wins, but Guida was fighting takedowns. 3 fights ago for Joaquim Silva, he was fighting Arman Sarukian in a fight that I remember happened and wasn't great. I remember being on Main Street USA over in Disneyland watching Arman Sarukian and Joaquim Silva. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to last like 2 minutes. I'm sitting there, I'm 13 minutes in and this fight's still going on. What am I doing? I got a fast pass for Space Mountain. Like, let's go. Anyways. Arman beats Joaquim Silva. Joaquim Silva stayed in the fight, but I mean, Arman dominated for the most part. He was able to get takedowns. My point is, again, Arman was able to get takedowns, and Joaquim Silva had no answer. He had an answer to Guida, but I don't love the grappling out of Silva. And for Puelles, he's just able to get some takedowns. He should win. Now, again, I make fun of Puelles. I'm not a fan of Puelles. Look at the fight against Ferreira, though. He does no damage, sure, but he does land 7 takedowns, and that is consistently what he goes to in that fight. Again, that's always been the concern out of Puelles. Like, if he can get you down, okay, he's nasty, right? He was able to catch Clay Guida on that nasty knee bar. He got Chris Gritzmacher in the knee bar as well. It's just a matter of getting fights down there, and that's when Puelles can eventually be successful. I wouldn't bet on the fight. I wouldn't, because I wouldn't put my U.S. currency on a guy like Claudio Puelles, okay? I do still think he's going to win, though. I'm going to go Claudio Puelles. I'm going to go by decision. I don't think he gets a finish against Joaquim Silva. Probably not. Maybe eventually. He might catch him. No, I'm going to go decision. I'm going decision for Claudio Puelles because, again, my thing with Puelles always is I don't know if he can get a takedown. I think he's going to be able to take down Silva, who's 36. I get it. Puelles doesn't fight all that often anymore, but Joaquim Silva hasn't fought since May of 2024 at UFC 301, in which he lost to Jakar Close. Now, he knocked down Jakar Close, and Silva, sure, I'll say this. He will have a striking advantage against Puelles because Puelles is really bad striking-wise. The wrestling, though, and the grappling is going to change the fight, and that's where I do believe Claudio Puelles will win. So I'm going to take Puelles at plus money. I would not bet on it unless, you like doing that type of stuff in terms of just throwing, flipping coins up in the air. So if you want to do that, go ahead, but I would not bet it at all. It's going to be Claudio Puelles, though. I pick every single fight. It's going to be Claudio Puelles to win it by decision. Maybe the least confident pick I give you on the entire video. I'm so serious. It's going to be Puelles. He's from Peru. I guess that's close enough to Mexico, right? I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm sure Dana might think it is. Is this a Mexican MMA card or is it a Latin American MMA card? Because coming up next is Jose Daniel Medina versus Dusko Todorovic. How is he still in the UFC? How are both these guys still in the UFC? I get with Dusko because he's been around. He's actually won fights before. How is Medina stuck around? He's Bolivian, which is, I know, very, top of South America. That's by Colombia, I think. I think it's by Colombia. I think. It's never mind. I think I thought it was Guyana. No, it's next to Brazil. Whatever. Medina's from South America. He's taking on Dusko Todorovic. So I guess we're just going South American theme for this card. I don't know how Jose Medina's still in the UFC. I don't know. His entire thing, and I'm so serious, was he's got a chin. You can't crack the chin of Jose Medina. You can throw anything at the guy, and he's gonna stay striking. He is, fighters from South America have really good chins. They can take an anvil to the face, and they're still gonna keep fighting. Well, meet Atiba Gutierrez, a guy who's, they say he's 23. I don't know if he's really 23 years old, but a guy who's 23 who I'd be surprised if he's not a top 5 fighter by this time 5 years from now. Atiba Gutierrez, if everything goes right for the guy, should probably win the world championship at light heavyweight in about 5 years. Maybe less, okay? Just watch out. So roll this back in 2030 when Atiba Gutierrez is knocking out, I don't even know who'd be champion at 205 then. I legitimately couldn't tell you. Like, I don't think anybody in the top 5 right now at light heavyweight's still going to be there in 5 years. Whatever. When Atiba Gutierrez is winning the light heavyweight championship in 5 years, just I can't say I didn't tell you so. He's going to be the champ at 205 someday. As long as he knows how to wrestle, yeah, he's going to be the champ. He's really good. And they're giving him Ozzy Diaz next. I wonder how that's going to go. Anyways, I know he fights at 85 right now. He's eventually going to have to go up. He's too young. Unless he's really 30, and then he'll stay at 85. But if he's actually 30 and he's really not 23 because he doesn't look 23, then that's going to just prove my point because he's not getting better anymore. Anyways, I just say that because, how, Manute Bull, they didn't really know his age, and, some people say that about Ngannou, too. Ngannou's really older because they don't have the real birth certificate. I'm just saying. Again, I'm so high on Atiba Gutierrez, though. I think the guy's going to be great. Anyways, Jose Medina, Dusko Todorovic. Okay, so Medina, loses to Atiba Gutierrez. I'm thinking that's it for him. 0-2 in the UFC. He got a contract in the UFC because he lost. He lost to Magomed Gadzhiesulov by unanimous decision. And Dana was just like, oh, this guy's so tough. I'm going to sign him anyway. Why? At the very least, make him come back to the contender. It's not like it was a back and forth war. It's just Medina took it on short notice, and he just survived against a really good guy. He got 30-27 on all 3 cards. In what world is this a UFC fighter? So exactly what we've expected to happen to Jose Medina has happened in the UFC. He's done nothing but lose. I understand Dusko Todorovic has lost 3 fights in a row, and he's 3-6 now in the UFC. Dusko Todorovic is going to beat Jose Medina. My only question is, can he knock him out? Because is the chin just cracked now of Medina to the point where he's been knocked out once, he's going to be knocked out again? Is he going to get knocked out again? I actually don't think so. I'm going to go Dusko Todorovic by decision. But again, Todorovic is an all-around Dusko Todorovic is an all-around mixed martial artist. He might be 3-6 in the UFC, but Dusko can wrestle, he can strike. And that's the main thing too. Dusko's not going to take any chances. If I'm Dusko Todorovic, I thought I was already going to be cut from the UFC by now. I lost 3 fights in a row to CLD, Mansour Abdulmalik, and I wrestled Zachary Reese, but I couldn't get the right scorecard, so I lost. Okay, because I didn't do enough damage. I'm assuming I got cut. I was already on an Apex card. My career's over, essentially. You get a second chance, and you get potentially the worst fighter on the roster who's only employed still because he's from South America, and they need another fighter for the Noche card, which, again, is supposed to be Mexican Independence Day, not Bolivian Independence Day. But I don't know. Dana White, folks, no. If I'm Dusko, I'm not taking any chances. I'm going here and I'm wrestling this guy. I'm wrestling and I'm dominating this guy. I mean, this is a clear victory for Dusko Todorovic. Again, he has lost 3 fights in a row. He has lost 4 out of his last 5 bouts. I get that. There's still a difference, though, from fighting Chidi Njokuani, Christian Leroy Duncan, Mansour Abdulmalik, and Zach Reese to fighting Jose Medina. And look at the one victory Dusko Todorovic has sandwiched in between all those fights. It's a win over Jordan Wright. Well, what happens against the Beverly Hills Ninja? He gets Wright down, and he TKOs him. Gets him a mount, and finishes the fight down there. I believe that had to have been Wright's last fight in the UFC. It was. Yes. No, he fought Zach Poundga. Never mind. But still, right? That's the exact game plan Dusko Todorovic is going to have here. And actually, no, I'm going to pick Todorovic by finish. Because Todorovic will win by ground stoppage. He'll win by second round TKO. He'll get Medina down. Medina does not have a grappling game, okay? You look at the fights that he's had so far in the UFC. Gadzhiesulov takes him down. Zachary Reese takes him down. He wasn't able to finish him, but yeah, no, Medina's going to be absolutely beaten there, especially coming off his first knockout loss, too. The uncrackable chin has finally been cracked. Give me Dusko Todorovic to win this fight from Serbia. I believe, right? Yeah, from Serbia. Yeah, Dusko Todorovic is going to win this one. Is he training in Africa now? This is a thing? Nope, he does not train in Africa. He trains in Montegaro. I don't know why I thought that was in Africa. I've just been bad with geography all day long today. Mozambique is the country I was thinking of. Give me Dusko Todorovic to win the fight by second round TKO. That would have been something if Dusko Todorovic was just training out of Mozambique. That's what I thought Montegaro was. Okay. On to our next fight here. Featured prelim, I do believe. Alexander Hernandez. Short notice call takes on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Oh, no, it's a main card fight. I think I might have the order mixed up. It's fine. It's okay. I think they moved it. It's fine. First fight of the main card or second fight of the main card. Alexander Hernandez takes on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Alexander Hernandez gets the short notice call. If you remember, CDF was supposed to fight Bobby Green back in Chicago. Bobby Green falls off the card. Well, Hernandez still fights. He fights Chase Hooper on that card. He wins and knocks out Chase Hooper. And now he's just going to run it right away against CDF. It makes so much sense. Alexander Hernandez is from San Antonio. If you remember the last time Alexander the Great Ape fought in San Antonio, he fought that really horrible and boring fight against Francisco Trinaldo. As the fight after he lost and got embarrassed by Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Comes back to San Antonio, gets a spot in the main card against Trinaldo. Horrible fight. Trinaldo probably should have won. They gave it to Hernandez. Okay. I think he will be able to right the wrongs of the San Antonio disappointment back then. He has not fought in San Antonio since, right? I don't think he has. They haven't been back. They've been back to San Antonio once, I think, but he did not fight on that card. Okay. So he'll be able to get to right those wrongs from the last San Antonio fight, as now he takes on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Guys, I don't think we've seen Alexander Hernandez look better than he did in the Chase Hooper fight. The commentators were marveling at the fact, oh, look how good Chase Hooper is. He's amazing. And yeah, again, I was high on Chase Hooper going into the fight as well. I thought Hooper was going to beat Hernandez. But as soon as Hooper can get that takedown, where Hernandez has been historically very good at stuffing takedowns, he was a sitting duck. Because yes, Chase Hooper's striking game is evolving. It is. It's not good enough to beat Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez has always had power. He's always been able to scrap. Sure, he's had some too close of calls, I thought, to Kurt Holloway and Austin Hubbard, but he still won those bouts. Had a fight, very close fight against Damon Jackson. Lost, right? I mean, had a fight against Bill Algeo where he lost as well. Was just on the wrong side of a lot of scorecards, which I think they were warranted in terms of like the Jackson fight and the Algeo fight, even though Hernandez never thinks he loses on a scorecard, but it's okay, you know? He gets Carlos Diego Ferreira, who's 40 now. CDF's not getting any younger. He lost to Grant Dawson in his last fight, like expected. I mean, Dawson did what he needed to do, just wrestled the entire time. Which, by the way, you might see Alexander Hernandez do. That wasn't really a possibility in the Bobby Green CDF fight, right? When I was picking that fight and I did actually go Bobby Green, that was not a factor. Oh, what happens if Bobby Green just takes down CDF? Because we know how Bobby Green fights. Hood style is hood. He's not going, did I say hood style? Fight style is hood. He's not going to go out there. He's not going to wrestle you. He's just going to try to outbox you and outkickbox you. Alexander Hernandez has the takedown in his repertoire. I don't know if he's going to go to it, but it will be there if he needs it. Because, again, the last couple of fights CDF has had, he's been taking down almost all of them. Gregor Gillespie Beneil Dariush, got to go back to Beneil Dariush, back in 2021 in the Apex, took down CDF. And ultimately, CDF was finding a lot of success on the feet. How does Dariush get the edge? He takes down CDF. Gregor Gillespie takes down CDF and wins the fight by TKO. Mateus Gamrot wins the fight by TKO by taking down CDF. Michael Johnson fight, well, CDF knocked him out. Mateus Rebecki, early in the fight, is taking down CDF. CDF eventually turns the tide on him and obviously finishes him with like 10 seconds to go in the third round. He's going to get the decision anyway. Grant Dawson does nothing but take down CDF. If I'm Alexander Hernandez, I know you want to chase the knockout. I know you want to get that big finish in front of your hometown and home family and family at home. If he wrestles, he's going to win. I just hope, if I'm Hernandez, I'm not too in love with the hands because of the win over Chase Hooper. Because wrestling Chase Hooper for Alexander Hernandez was not an option. Because if you do, okay, you're going to get stuck in that guard, and it's not a position you really want to be in. Because you're going to get flipped, you're going to get reversed, and now, Hernandez, you're either on bottom or, Hooper's got a lot of, he's got a lot of tools to dig into, right, if he needs it off his back. CDF, sure, decent jiu-jitsu, good jiu-jitsu, but not at 40 years of age, something that we're really concerned about if you're Alexander Hernandez. Yeah, again, you can be close in the striking game, but I've seen Hernandez crack too many times to the point where I wouldn't want to strike with CDF. You get knocked down by Bill Algeo, you get finished by Billy Quarantillo. There's no reason to strike with Carlos Diego Ferreira if you can just go out there and wrestle. So if Hernandez actually follows the game plan, which I'd hope is the Factory X game plan over there in San Antonio, he should easily win the fight. He should. Against a 40-year-old, Hernandez's cardio will be better. He just fought, that's fine, but didn't take any damage really. Diego Ferreira had to cut weight twice. Same as Hernandez, sure, but Hernandez has got to win off of that. You're feeling better if you're Hernandez, coming off a knockout win. You got the confidence now. You go from taking on, again, a 26-year-old Chase Hooper to now fighting a 40-year-old, about to be 41-year-old Carlos Diego Ferreira. And oh, by the way, you're at home. You're 1-0 in San Antonio. I'm taking Hernandez to win. I guarantee you, Alexander Hernandez was begging to get on this card. He mentioned it after the fight against Hooper that he wanted to turn around and be on the San Antonio card quickly. He gets his wish, and I believe Hernandez is going to deliver. I'm taking Alexander Hernandez to beat Carlos Diego Ferreira by unanimous decision. I think the wrestling's going to be huge. We go on to our next fight. I didn't know if this was the main card opener or the Hernandez fight was, but here it is. Santiago Luna takes on Kong Lee. Very close in this one for me, right? And we can see what the odds right away. Kong Lee, a -120 favorite. Mexico's Santiago Luna, a +100 underdog. Santiago Luna is 21 years old. Can he get his first UFC win at 21 against Kwang Lee? I think there's a very good possibility he does. I don't know. It's a close fight. Again, I talked about close fights earlier in the night. One of the closest fights for me was the Claudio Puelles Joaquim Silva fight. This is right there for me. And I'll be honest, the other 4 fights we're going to get to after this are nowhere nearly as close for me as Luna and Lee is. It's a difficult fight to predict because I don't know what we're going to get out of, his nickname's Border Boy? Out of Border Boy Santiago Luna, training in Baja California, Mexico, in Tijuana, but born in San Diego. 21 years of age, hasn't beaten a really good fighter in the regional scene. Hasn't. One win over Magomed Badiev, a Chechnyan fighter who was 6-1 at the time. I don't know. I can't really put much into that. He's coming off winning Tough Enough, which I don't love. If you've watched me before and I've watched me talk about regional MMA, the Tough Enough promotion doesn't really move me at all. They don't get the best regional talent, and it's like kind of like it's kind of like Titan FC, where there are guys who are supposed to win. If you're a prospect and you're fighting in Tough Enough, like they will get you a match, they will get you good matchmaking, and they'll get you a fighter that you're supposed to go out there and crush, right? So Luna in his last fight fights a 4-6 fighter and finishes him in the first round. That's great, but again, I don't know what we can get out of beating a guy who's just 4-6. Flip side, Kwang Bang Lee, 1-2 in the UFC, coming off his first UFC victory, a win over Gastelum Bolaños, in which he submitted him in the second round in Des Moines, Iowa. Okay, Bolaños, though, not the highest level of guy. He was coming from one over Cortavius Romeus, but Cortavius Romeus not a high-level guy either, and Bolaños has a pure hole in his game. It's the lack of a grappling skill. He does not do well on the ground. So, again, Lee was able to exploit that. He's able to get the fight down. He wins. I'll give him credit. I thought Bolaños was going to be able to keep it standing. Didn't go his way. So, Lee keeps his spot in the promotion after losing his first 2 fights in the UFC, losing to both Chris Gutierrez and Long Zhao. Now he gets Santiago Luna on short notice, because originally this was supposed to be Kwang Lee versus David Martinez. David Martinez now has been bumped to the co-main event to take on Rob Font. Wow, what a step up. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm close on this one, man, because Kwang Lee, good grappling. Luna has good grappling too, but I don't know how good of grappling he really has because it's the regional scene, and he's fought nobodies. But he's 21. Kwang Lee's 33, about to be 34. I'm going to go Santiago Luna. I'm going Luna by decision here. He's 13 years younger, essentially. He's first fight in the UFC, Mexican Independence Day. Sure, he's fought bums. He's fought jobbers on the regional scene. Oh, he has. He's done everything you've asked him to do, though. He's gone. He's seen his opponents on his schedule, and he's cleared his schedule out. He's not the one matchmaking fights, okay? And with all fairness to him, he's not the one handpicking opponents. At least, I don't think he is. So, he's getting the guys on his schedule. He's beating everybody. He's 6-0, and he's finished everyone he's fought as well. Yeah, he's 100% finish rate. Kwang Lee's 1-2 in the UFC. He beats Bolaños, who had a very, easy grappling hole. Pause. Had a a discrepancy in his game. He doesn't have a grappling game there. Quang Le could strike, but his striking hasn't looked very good in the UFC. It's looked good in LFA, but in the UFC, he got outstruck by Chris Gutierrez, which, sure, again, he was not expected to beat Gutierrez, but Long Zhao really puts BTA onto Quang Le, beating him to the punch every single time, doing more damage with the strikes, and eventually knocking out Quang Le in the third round, too. So I'm going to go with Santiago Luna to win the bout. I am. I'm going to go Luna to take it. I think he's able to go out here, and I think he's able to mix it up with Quang Le. I don't know how the grappling's going to work, but I think Luna's going to be competitive enough. Man, I think it's tough, but I think Luna's going to get it. I wouldn't bet. I understand, right? Close odds is plus 100. You can get some really good value on Santiago Luna. I'm going to take, again, the up-and-coming regional star from Mexico on Mexican Independence Day. I think the UFC season is going to get a 21-year-old who can pick up his first win, on Noche. Big opportunity fighting the Vietnamese Quang Le. I mean, who's 1-2 and 34 years of age. There's no potential with Quang Le. I get it. Oh, the veteran might be able to win. I think Luna is quicker, and I think Luna's able to I think he's able to be more physical than Quang Le. But is he a 145er though? Hold on. Has he ever fought at 135? He hasn't fought at 135 in over a year, and he's going to fight at 135 at short notice? Ooh, I don't know if I like that. But if he's able to, he is going to be the stronger fighter. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go Santiago Border Boy Luna to beat Quang Le by unanimous decision. We move on to the middleweight division. They're really booking this fight. Okay. The UFC needs Kelvin Gastelum to stick around. That's the easiest way I can put this fight for you. Kelvin Gastelum, I don't care if he's washed up, he's old, he's the same age as Dustin Stoltzfus. He's not losing to Dustin Stoltzfus. With all due respect to Dustin Stoltzfus, he's never really been UFC level. He's 3-6. His victories are Marc-Andre Bettiot. Okay, Marc-Andre Bettiot. Oh, he fought Shara kind of close. He almost legitimately killed Bruno Silva. Marc-Andre Bettiot's not good. He's lost 4 of 5. He's just not a good fighter. And, Stoltzfus check right hooked him and knocked his lights out. Stoltzfus beat Puna, but the Puna hype's been gone for a very long time. I know he's won back-to-back at this point. He's going to fight Nikolai Varetnikov, which he probably might win, but I don't care. And his other one is Dwight Grant. I mean, okay, that's nothing to write home about, okay? Kelvin Gastelum will not have an ounce of trouble with Dustin Stoltzfus. I'm serious about that. The fight won't be competitive. I know Kelvin Gastelum has not been, an elite fighter in a very long time, right? His elite window ended when he lost to Jared Cannonier. When he lost 4 rounds to 1 to Cannonier. I know he beat Curtis, and it was his big thing, oh, I'm back, and then he fought Sean Brady and lost, and then he weighed, was 15 pounds overweight. He came in fat against Daniel Rodriguez and won, but then they've had him fight Joe Pyfer, and he lost. It was not a very eventful fight against Pyfer. He got dropped twice, which, it is what it is, and Gastelum's chin, again, can get a little shaky at this point. I am so sure Stoltzfus is not knocking him out, though. I will be damned if Dustin Stoltzfus catches Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, come on. Again, if Gastelum loses to Stoltzfus, not to be harsh, he should retire. If you can't beat Dustin Stoltzfus, there's no spot on the UFC roster for Gastelum anymore. The UFC's throwing him a bone. It's like, guys, Drew Dober next month in Canada is going to fight Kyle Propolek. Okay? So that fight, too, is like, all right, they need Dober to win a bout because they want to keep him around because they like Dober. Just like I think they like Gastelum, even though he misses weight a lot. He's an Ultimate Fighter guy. He's the first guy to ever beat Uriah Hall. They like Gastelum a good amount, okay? They need Gastelum to stick around. So they need him to win some fights, okay? Same thing with Drew Dober. Dober's always fun. He's always in big-time fights, like fun fights, fight night, main cards. That's why they throw him Kyle Propolek so he can finish him in the first round and get back in the win column. Sure, Gastelum's only lost 3 of 5, but this fight does feel like rock bottom for him if he loses, right? If he wins, okay, great. That's just what you're supposed to do. Dustin Stoltzfus was billed into the UFC as a really good grappler. Quickly, that got proven wrong, I guess, because he got subbed in back-to-back fights against Adolfo Vieira and Gerald Mearshart. In all fairness to Stoltzfus, I mean, there aren't many tougher grapplers that you're going to face. And, oh, by the way, his first fight in the UFC got out-grappled by Kyle Dawkins, who, by the way, is back, who just knocked out Michel Pineda. Second, round 2 of the Darce night in the UFC might be dangerous. But I was surprised when they kept Stoltzfus around after losing his first 3. He beats Dwight Grant in a fight where, did he really win? I don't know. It was close. And then he loses to Abus Magomedov, gets front kicked in the face, beats Puna, loses to Bruno Ferreira, gets spinning back elbow to knocked out stiff in Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center, beats Marc-Andre Barriault, and loses to Nilson Ruzvev by decision. Gastelum's going to have his way. This isn't the easiest 30-27 I've ever seen. And I know what you're thinking, oh, well, if you're this confident, why aren't you picking him to finish him? Well, guys, when's the last time Kelvin Gastelum finished a fight in the UFC? Oh, yeah. When he knocked out Michael Bisping in China in 2017 in Shanghai. Back when the UFC did Fight Pass exclusive fights. He hasn't knocked out anybody since he fought Michael Bisping. So, he's on a different level than Stoltzfus. Guys, this fight's going to look like Gastelum, Chris Curtis, but just a bigger discrepancy. Like, Gastelum's going to be moving pretty well, I believe. Yes, he's at 85, not at 70, because he's eating too many hamburgers. He's still a fat middleweight, but he's still on a different level than Dustin Stoltzfus, okay? Gastelum, and here's the thing. Gastelum's not serious about being an MMA fighter. Because if he was serious, he'd get a diet plan, and he'd actually fight at welterweight. But he's not serious about it. So, again, I can't hate. Dude's a professional fighter. And here I am talking about him. But still, for the betterment of Gastelum's career, go back down to 70, don't miss weight ever again, and actually cut weight, and actually stay off the hamburgers, stay off the lasagna. Come on. Like, I know you like to eat. Too bad. I don't know. Fight at 70. Like, your career's going to go better if you go down there. Whatever. Because, again, Gastelum can be good at 170 pounds. He's just outmatched at 85. We've seen this before. Like, again, Stoltzfus will not outmatch him. But we've seen you outmatched by Cannonier, Whitaker, Adesanya, and you're right there with these guys. You just can't go over the edge because you're just not a middleweight. You don't cut weight. I don't know. Give me Kelvin Gastelum to win this fight by decision. Again, this is the clearest 30-27 I've ever seen. I hope Gastelum finishes him. I just don't think so. Right? And by the way, that Gastelum knockout over Michael Bisping. Oh, yeah. Michael Bisping fought George St. Pierre 14 days before that. Come on. Okay. So if you want to go back prior to that, Gastelum's only knockout win is Tim Kennedy back at UFC 206. How old was Tim Kennedy in that fight? I guarantee you he was like going on 40. He was 37. Okay. Tim Kennedy was favored to beat Kelvin Gastelum back then? Are you serious? Really? Gastelum's coming off the Johnny Hendricks win, too. Anyways, give me Kelvin Gastelum to beat Dustin Stoltzfus by unanimous decision. On now to our feature bout of the night. Rafa Garcia is in the feature bout of a UFC Noche card. Wow. Great. Jared Gordon takes on Rafa Garcia. Garcia, I was surprised when I saw Garcia's age. He's only 31. Like, no disrespect to Rafa Garcia. Does this guy look 31 to you? I mean, I guess this is what happens when you fight for a living. But it's just like, dude, Garcia looks like he's 38. And so I was really surprised when I looked at the ages today of him and Jared Gordon. I was like, oh, I know Gordon's like in his late 30s, like he's 37-ish, whatnot. He's like Felder's age. And I was looking at Garcia, he's 31. It did make me question, like, oh, maybe I should go Garcia here. I'm going Jared Gordon. I'm going Jared Gordon to win the fight. Because whenever I think Jared Gordon's not going to win, he just finds a way to do it, okay? Like, I'll be the first to say, I've picked against Jared Gordon in his last 2 victories. Yeah, his last 2 fights I've picked against him to win. 2 wins I picked against him. I picked Thiago Moises to beat him, and I picked Mark Madsen to beat him. I did pick Nasrat Haqparast to beat him, and he did, right? But Jared Gordon, to me, right, has always been good. Don't get me wrong. Like, he should have beaten Patty back at 282 in December of 2022. But I always, like, when I talk about Jared Gordon, I always think, like, okay, he is 37 now, or he was 36. He's 35. Like, when is he going to kind of slow down? I don't think he's going to slow down against Rafa Garcia. I don't know. Rafa Garcia, his entire thing is, I kid you not, he's a better version of Jose Daniel Medina to the point where, like, okay, Garcia actually has boxing, and he actually will throw at you, but his chin is just spectacular, right? Like, he is so hard to put away. He's never been knocked down in his career, I believe. I know for sure he's never been knocked down in the UFC. Every fight of his usually goes the distance, except for the Grant Dawson fight, but Dawson finished him on the ground, and again, Grant Dawson, whole other animal, but obviously, right, Grant Dawson wasn't knocking down Rafa Garcia. That was a takedown, that was wrestling, and then, okay, ground pound, right, fight over. I don't think Jared Gordon's going to be that guy to knock out Garcia. I know, again, he's coming off the Moises victory. I don't think he's going to be able to get a knockout. I think we see a stand-up war, if I'm being honest. Garcia does have the wrestling in his back pocket, right? We saw that against Vince Pichel, who was like 40 when he fought Rafa Garcia earlier in the year. He did wrestle, did Garcia against Mahashet, against Jesse Ronson, where he got a submission, against Natan Levy. It is there. I don't think he's going to wrestle Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon's got a pretty good defensive base in terms of wrestling. Like in his last fight against Thiago Moises in the Apex, right? Burns Morales in May of this year. Jared Gordon firmly establishes early in the fight, like, all right, you're not going to get me down. Because Moises, right, decent kickboxing, but he's got the jiu-jitsu background as well. Jared Gordon immediately in that fight, again, he stakes his claim, like, all right, you're not taking me down. You are not going to bully me down here, because he takes down Moises right away. Eventually, gets back up to the feet, and then, right, Gordon cracks Thiago Moises and knocks him out. My point with all that being, I don't think he's going to be able to go down there. I think Gordon has that figured out. Right? The only guy to ever out-wrestle Jared Gordon in the UFC, and purely just out-wrestle him, to the point where, like, you know, you beat him solely because of your wrestling, is Grant Dawson. And we know what Grant Dawson does. He's excellent grappling-wise, right? Still one loss ever to Bobby Green. Still a random-ass loss. And obviously, Grant Dawson submitted Rafa Garcia, right? Or TKO'd Rafa Garcia. So, both these guys have lost to Dawson in the past. So, I don't think the wrestling is going to be there for Rafa Garcia. So, if not, it's going to be a striking battle. Sure. Is Jared Gordon going to be able to knock out Rafa Garcia? Probably not, okay? Just because of what Garcia does. Head movement is all right, but it's just in terms of, like, okay, Garcia can just eat so much damage. He can. I've seen this guy in so many wars. Like, Clay Guida actually cracked Garcia a couple times, but Garcia just keeps walking forward. Dakar Close hits Garcia with some decent stuff. Garcia's still up, right? Natan Levy, you know, wasn't the best UFC fighter, but he had some decent kickboxing. Had some decent, karate. He was a karate fighter. Garcia walks through everything, right? Look at the Chris Gritzmacher fight. Look at the Nasrat Hakparas fight. Yeah, Garcia loses both of those, but he's still walking forward. He's still eating those punches. I think Gordon's getting him with some nice stuff, and Gordon's coming off back-to-back knockout wins in his last two victories, right? Mark Madsen knockout win, Thiago Moises knockout win. I don't think he's able to knock out Garcia, though. I think Garcia's going to keep walking forward. But again, I do believe Jared Gordon's just a better striker. I think so. I think Gordon is a higher level guy than Garcia. Wrestling-wise, yes, Garcia might have that there. I don't think he's able to get Jared Gordon down there, though. So, just because of the defensive wrestling game as a whole for Jared Flash Gordon. So I'm going to go Gordon to beat Rafa Garcia by decision. I know, again, we're going against the Mexican fighter here on Noche, but I just believe Gordon's better, and I like the run Jared Gordon's going on right now. Again, I don't want to say I've been a hater, but I have picked against Jared Gordon quite a bit just because I didn't think he's better than Moises. I didn't think he was going to be able to out-grapple or, face the wrestling-heavy approach of the former Olympian Mark Madsen. Well, he has passed those tests, and I think he's going to pass the Rafa Garcia test as well. Right, Garcia is an underdog in this one, plus 190. Gordon the favorite at minus 245. I'm going with the American out of Queens, New York, out of Renzo Gracie in Philadelphia. Jared Flash Gordon will beat Rafa Garcia, and he will get it done by unanimous decision. On now to our co-main event. Rob Font gets yet again matched up with a lower level fighter. I don't want to say lower level, but just a non-top 15 guy. The UFC is really trying to get rid of Rob Font. Now, that was apparent in his last booking against Raul Rosas Jr. That fight falls through. Rosas has to pull out, so they bump David Martinez from his fight, obviously, early in the card of Kwang Lee. And what a change in opponent. You get a guy in Kwang Lee who's 1-2 in the UFC, who I think is going to lose to a 21-year-old making his debut in less than a week's notice, to a top 15 guy in Font, a high-level top 15 guy? No. A guy who's just, always been within that 7 to 13 range over the last couple of years. But a guy who's won fights, and a guy who has turned away back to 3 straight prospects, really. Let's look at Rob Font's last 5 fights, right? Adrian Yanez back in 2023, up-and-coming guy who was supposed to beat him in Miami, Florida. I thought Yanez was going to beat him. Rob Font turns him away, beats him by unanimous decision, knocks him out in the first round, Then fights Corey Sandhagen. That's the unanimous decision loss. Sandhagen wrestled him the entire fight. He had a torn something oblique, or I don't know, something right here, I believe was, I don't know. That's Sandhagen got injured. I don't know. But he fought the fight, whatever. He beats Rob Font. Rob Font then fights Davison Figueiredo, and Figueiredo's debut at 135 pounds in San Antonio. Figueiredo wins. And then Font gets prospects. They give him, Kyler Phillips is like a forever prospect. He gets Kyler Phillips. UFC wanted Phillips to win. Rob Font turns him away. Rob Font's a plus 350 dog. Font wins by decision. And then he fights John Matsumoto in his last fight in Seattle, Washington. Originally supposed to be Rob Font versus Dominic Cruz in Cruz's retirement bout. Instead, in steps John Matsumoto. Font's an underdog. We cashed on Rob Font on that card. He wins it by split decision. For the third consecutive fight, he gets an up-and-comer. And now he gets the Black Spartan from Mexico, David Martinez. Martinez has had one UFC fight. And I'm supposed to believe he can beat Rob Font. His one win, Simon Oliveira. I'm sorry, beating Simon Oliveira doesn't mean that you're going to go in and beat Rob Font. Guys, Simon Oliveira went 0-3 in the UFC. He won in the Contender Series against Jose Adley. He won that fight by split decision. Gets a UFC contract. Goes on to lose to Tony Gravely in his first fight. Then gets knocked out by Daniel Marcos. And then got knocked out against David Martinez over in Mexico City earlier this year. Not a UFC fighter. Okay? Not by any stretch of the imagination a UFC fighter. Martinez beats an 0-3 guy. He won in the Contender against a 5-0 Xavier Franklin. And now here he is. Originally, guys, David Martinez's first opponent was supposed to be Carlos Vera. 37-year-old Carlos, 37-year-old Carlos Vera, who's not a high-level fighter at all, who beat Josias Musasa, who I was very disappointed in. Regardless, though, he was supposed to take on Carlos Vera. He goes from Vera to Kwang Lee to now Rob Font. How does David Martinez beat Rob Font? He has to knock him out. Has to knock out Rob Font. That's so much easier said than done, though. Nobody's ever knocked Font out. And sure, is Font the same guy that he used to be? No, he's 38. He's only getting older. But fights like this is keeping Rob Font in the top 15 because he keeps turning away prospects. And he's going to continue to keep turning away prospects. At least a guy like David Martinez. Guys, Martinez's power, sure. He's not going to be able to put together, in my opinion, those combinations to put away Rob Font. He doesn't have good enough stuff, okay? Raul Rosas was an interesting fight. Now, I know, again, very stylistically different. Don't get me wrong, going from Rosas to Martinez. But I thought that'd be interesting because Rosas is more of an evolved fighter. For me, David Martinez is just purely a striker. He's not going to really make Rob Font think in terms of a grappling game. And oh, by the way, that's where John Matsumoto made him work. That's where Kyler Phillips made him work. Tevison Figueiredo, Corey Sandhagen. Each of Rob Font's last 4 opponents have all wrestled him. And I'm not telling you it's just a surefire thing Font's going to win if it's a striking fight, because sure, that's where David Martinez wants to fight too. He wants to strike with Rob Font. I wouldn't take an up-and-coming prospect just had one fight in the UFC in a pure striking battle with Font. I just don't see it. Rob Font will beat David Martinez, in my opinion. And I think he's going to make it look pretty easily. I'm going Font by decision, just because, again, there's no threat of the takedown. And that, I think, has held back Font a little bit in his last couple fights. Now, again, the Phillips fight, I don't think there's any controversy around the decision, right? Kyler Phillips lands 4 or 5 takedowns, but it's pretty clear, right? Phillips wins the first round via the takedown. Second 2 rounds, though, or second and third rounds, are all Rob Font. Rob Font purely outclasses him on the feet. Now, the Rob Font-John Matsumoto bout, I thought Font won. I think legitimately you can make the case Font wins every single round. I think so. But, first round, Matsumoto has got, pure control for 4 minutes. You probably have to give him the round, but he does nothing with that takedown. Sure, you can give him the first. Second round, fights primarily on the feet. Matsumoto does land 5 takedowns, but Font keeps popping back up to his feet and does outstrike Matsumoto in that round. Third round, that's a Rob Font round, right? Back and forth battle on the feet, but Rob Font's getting the better of the striking exchanges, and he's doing more damage to the Brazilian and Matsumoto. Again, though, in this fight with Martinez, there is no threat of that. That's not in the back of Rob Font's mind. I mean, I don't think Martinez has not landed a takedown so far on the Contender Series or in his one fight, albeit only lasted 4 minutes against Simon Oliveira. There's no threat of that, okay? I believe Rob Font's going to win the bout. I think he's going to win it by decision. It's hard to beat Rob Font in a pure striking fight. I get it. He's 38 years of age. He's only getting older. He's still got enough left in the tank to beat David Martinez. We go on to the main event of the evening in the featherweight division. Will this be the next title challenger for Alex Volkanovski? We're obviously talking about John Silva. I don't know, but John Silva versus Diego Lopes. Lopes, after losing in the vacant featherweight championship fight in his last one in Miami, to the champ, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, returns for Noche for the second consecutive year to take on John Silva from the Fighting Nerds. Now, the Fighting Nerds last week in Paris, France go 0-2. Both Mauricio Hufi and Kyle Borjaio lose. Didn't see the Hufi one coming. Correctly, though, and perfectly predicted the Nasruddin Imavov Kyle Borjaio fight. We had Imavov by decision. I didn't think it was going to be competitive on the feet. I thought Borjaio couldn't get a takedown. He was screwed, and that's exactly what happened. Nasruddin Imavov's good. Can he beat Chimaev, though? No. Just going to be honest. All right, he doesn't stand a chance against Hamzat. Regardless, though, John Silva looks to get one back for the Fighting Nerds before Carlos Prates goes back at it in November against Leon Rocky Edwards in the biggest spot of his career. This is by far the biggest spot of John Silva's career, coming off of a submission victory over Bryce Mitchell where he knocked down Bryce Mitchell, eventually got the guillotine choke. I mean, that was one of the most hyped up fights that you could have gotten on a main card of a pay-per-view that was under, obviously, Diego Lopes and Alexander Volkanovski for the championship. John Silva has had a meteoric rise to start him in the UFC, right? Win over Weston Wilson in his first fight. Then he beats Charles Jourdain. Then he beats Drew Dober. Then he beats Melzik Bagdasaryan. And now the Bryce Mitchell victory. This is his third fight in 2025, and he has found himself in a main event. Probably has the most hype out of any of the Fighting Nerds, legitimately. Because of the Bryce Mitchell fight, because of the 100% finish rate so far in the UFC, I would say right now, and especially because he's the only one who hasn't lost now, John Silva officially has the most hype out of the Fighting Nerds, and he does the whole barking thing too, right? Diego Lopes comes into this bout coming off the loss to Volkanovski, where it was pretty one-sided. I thought Volk won 4 rounds, okay? I thought Volk won 4 rounds in that fight. I think the only round that I could give to Diego Lopes is the second round, because at the end of the round, he drops Volk, and concerning. I think you could have made the case Volk won 5-0. Watching it back, I guess you got to give that second round to Diego Lopes, but Volk easily wins 1, 3, 4, and 5 to become the new champion. Other than that moment in the second round, because again, Lopes is getting outstruck up until the point that he knocks down Volk in the second, he is losing that second round. And he loses pretty much all 25 minutes to Alexander Volkanovski. Nothing wrong with that, because Volk's the world champion. Volk's a arguably top 3 fighter of all time. That's a take that I know I can save for another day. That's a difficult fight. I don't know which other round they gave to Lopes. What's the second round you give to Diego Lopes over Alex Volkanovski? I couldn't tell you, actually. Like, what, you're going to give him the third, maybe? I don't see it. Anyways, he got outclassed. Outclassed by Volk on the feet. And Volk, never been the biggest power puncher. If John Silva hits you that many times, though, he's going to knock you out. The difference between Volk and John Silva is, right, like, John Silva couldn't maintain that tempo and that pace that Alexander Volkanovski put on Diego Lopes for 25 minutes. 100% no, right? I know, again, we haven't seen Silva in that environment, so we don't know, but I highly doubt it. I don't think John Silva can go a full 25 fighting like he usually does. My point with all this being, though, see how much Volk tagged Lopes early? If John Silva does that, Diego Lopes is going to sleep. You know? I don't love the Lopes striking game. He leaves his head up in the air to get hit. He's fun. He's flashy. He's not the highest skilled fighter, though. He's not, right? His rise to title fight was Sodiq Yusuff, Danny Ige, Brian Ortega. And I remember saying this before he fought Volk, and I said, no disrespect to Diego Lopes, he can't win this fight. Because if he does, the featherweight title lineage is ruined. Because nothing but elite fighters have touched the belt 145 pounds. It's a very easy lineage to remember. Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria. Those are all-time greats and Hall of Famers, and legitimately the top fighters of all time. No disrespect to Diego Lopes, he's not there. And whoever takes the belt off of Volkanovski, or whoever's next after Volk, whether it be John Silva, whether it be Leron Murphy, whether it be Aljamain Sterling, right? If it's Murphy or Silva, you have huge shoes to fill, right? Because you are an elite tier at 145 pounds. But my point with that Diego Lopes thing was, Lopes just isn't a highly skilled fighter. He's not. Because even if he were to beat Volk, I fully expected him to get knocked down in his next fight, right? I mean, I think if he fights Leron Murphy, I think Leron Murphy probably beats Diego Lopes. Weird stylistic bout. It is. But high-level guys will beat Diego Lopes. High-level guys like John Silva. I think John Silva's going to knock out Diego Lopes in the first round. I think so. Grappling-wise, maybe Diego Lopes has something. We can't forget John Silva's a really good grappler, too. He is a very complete fighter. There are guys who will beat him. That guy is not Diego Lopes. Like, if Leron Murphy fought John Silva, I think Leron Murphy might win. I don't know, I'd probably go Silva. If Aljamain Sterling fought John Silva, I'd take Aljamain Sterling. I don't think John Silva's able to compete with that wrestling, especially with the evolved striking game of Aljamain Sterling. John Silva fought Alexander Volkanovski. Pride taking Volk, but there's a chance John Silva could chin him and knock him out in the first round, right? There's that possibility. Diego Lopes is by far the easiest matchup out of all those guys I just stated. Movsar Evloev's another one too. That's a tough fight. I'd probably take John Silva, right? I don't really consider Movsar in the title picture right now because he doesn't fight. His last win's the Aljo win back in last December. He's not going to fight in the entire year of 2025. Yeah, you need to win another fight before you get a title shot, okay? The title shot to me comes down to John Silva, Aljamain Sterling, and Leron Murphy. Who would I give it to? Aljo. But I know they're not going to go there. Aljo, former champ 135, was the greatest bantamweight of all time before Merab Dvalishvili took that reign as being the greatest 135-pounder ever. Why wouldn't you do Volk and Aljo? It's the biggest, Silva's probably a bigger pay-per-view, but you do potentially the 135 GOAT versus the 145 GOAT. You can never make that fight again. They're both 35 and 36 respectively. That's the fight you should make. That's pay-per-view. What they will do, my guess, John Silva's going to beat Diego Lopes. And I know they've kind of hinted at Leron Murphy getting the shot in December. They will fast-track John Silva to the belt in December. It's going to be John Silva versus Alex Volkanovski. And on that same card, they're going to book Leron Murphy, Aljamain Sterling. And the winners can then fight, in my opinion. I think that's what they're going to do. Or they'll do Movsar versus Aljo 2, I think. And they just hold John Silva for the winner of Murphy Volk. But I don't think so. I think they're just going to make Movsar fight down the rankings again. But this specific fight, I am taking John Silva. I just think Lopes is too hittable. And that's the simplest way I can put it. Yes, Lopes will blitz. Lopes, he has this weird, thing where he does this all the time. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what the right word for it is, but it's just a habit of his. Like when he's fighting, he will, if he gets hit, he punches his neck. It's weird. John Silva's going to time him, and John Silva's going to knock him out. As the fight goes on, maybe Lopes sees more success. I know that's Diego Lopes' whole thing, all right? Going out there and finding quick finishes. I get that. I just don't think it's the same thing as John Silva. John Silva's got too much power. Grappling-wise, he should have him. He's way shorter than Diego Lopes, sure. But again, the biggest thing for me is the power John Silva has and the fact that Diego Lopes is so hittable in there. And again, skillfully-wise, technically sound-wise, Diego Lopes is not that high level of a guy. He's just got crazy finishing potential, right? And he beat Sodiq Yusuff, Dan Ige, and Brian Ortega. Beat Dan Ige, by the way, on 2 hours' notice and lost the third round to Dan Ige. And beat Brian Ortega, who we've seen is not the highest of levels anymore, okay? I'm taking John Silva to beat Diego Lopes, and I believe he gets it done in the very first round by knockout. Folks, thank y'all for watching our UFC Noche predictions here on the channel. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for our Dana White's Contender Series predictions, and later in the week for our UFC Noche best bets as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.